Hey everyone, you're watching We Had That, and today I'm going to talk about the 1979 Draconian Guard action figure from the Buck Rogers in the 25th Century line by Mego. When Star Wars came out in 1977, it caught the world unprepared. The movie was a hit, and even though Kenner had purchased the license to produce Star Wars toys, they weren't ready in time for the massive demand. Cheesy science fiction movies like Battle Beyond the Stars and TV shows like Battlestar Galactica were being produced for the next few years after Star Wars in an attempt to catch lightning in a bottle with another similar franchise. Even Star Trek the Motion Picture came about from the success of Star Wars. Another similarly spacey TV series to arrive on the small screen was Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. The character Buck Rogers had been around since 1928, but it was the success of Star Wars that allowed a new generation to meet a very distinctively 70s version of this iconic hero in the form of a TV movie and 2 seasons of a TV show. Buck was surrounded by plenty of cool supporting characters as well, human, alien, and robot. One that I liked quite a bit was the Draconian Guard. In terms of character, they weren't really much different from any other army of laser gun-wielding space guys, but their uniforms stood out as being particularly unique, and I mean that in a good way. Much like the stormtroopers from Star Wars, I thought the Draconian Guards looked very cool, and their appearance added a fair amount to the overall look of the movie for me. Their uniforms had elements of Japanese design that contributed to their unique look. The Draconian Guard served a variety of positions for Emperor Draco, or in this case, Kain and Ardala, from guards to space pilots. Their space fighters, called Draconian Marauders, were also pretty cool. Although they looked a little bit like a brown airplane, they had a taller than typical cockpit, which helped to distinguish them from other spaceships at the time. In the TV movie, you could see these guys in a lot of the shots, even if they were often in the background. The Mego Toy Company rolled the dice on a line of 3 3/4-inch figures in hopes of similar success to Kenner's success with their Star Wars figures. Unfortunately for Mego, the Buck Rogers line of action figures wasn't the phenomenal hit they had wanted. But you never know before the products hit the market, and apparently Mego had a lot of faith in the Buck Rogers property, at least enough faith that they made figures in both 3 3/4-inch and 12-inch sizes. In the 3 3/4-inch size, they made an unusually large selection of 9 different characters. Most first waves in action figure lines at the time were more likely to release 4 different characters. Mattel's Clash of the Titans line in 1980 consisted of only 4 figures. The Zorro line by Gabriel from 1981 and Tommy's Tron line from 1982 both included only 4 characters. Even Kenner hedged their bets with only 4 characters in the first wave of Raiders of the Lost Ark figures in 1982. So it's actually pretty cool that we got such a large number of characters for Buck Rogers. When it came to the 12-inch figures, they didn't really seem to sell all that well, and there weren't as many different characters available as there were in the 3 3/4-inch size. Most of the characters looked significantly different from their 3 3/4-inch counterpart, particularly the Draconian Guard. When it comes to the 3 3/4-inch figures, I've actually read mixed reviews about how well they sold. Still, those of us who thought these figures were cool as kids were the ones that really felt lucky. When compared to the Star Wars figures of the time, the Buck Rogers figures had a much wider range of movement. Where Star Wars figures could only move at the neck, shoulders, and hips, Buck Rogers figures had the same movement at the neck, plus a wider range of motion at the shoulders and hips, plus joints at the knees and elbows. The Draconian Guard figures were somewhat more limited in their range of motion around the shoulders and neck because the neck guard on the figures gets in the way, but that didn't diminish my enjoyment of playing with them very much. Even in the movie, the Draconian Guards didn't do much besides walk around in the background, fly spaceships, and get blown up or beat up by Buck Rogers, but I still thought they were very cool, and I'm glad they were available as action figures for the Buck Rogers line. My Draconian Guard spent time guarding my Emperor Draco figure, even though Draco and the Draconian Guards never appeared in a scene together in the movie. They did a lot more than just that, though. They actually went on adventures with a variety of figures from different lines. I would have liked to have had a few more of them so that they would have felt a bit more like an army, but since I never even completed the entire line of Buck Rogers figures, I'm glad that I had the lone Draconian Guard that I did have. As with many of my Buck Rogers figures, my Draconian Guard lost a thumb in a childhood battle, which made him pretty evenly matched with several of my other Buck Rogers figures who also lost thumbs. These characters were never as important to me as Star Wars and later G.I. Joe, but they made their way into my childhood adventures for years, and I was definitely glad to have them. Did you have any of the Buck Rogers action figures as a kid? Do you collect them now? What do you think of the Draconian Guards? Which character was your favorite? Tell me in the comments below. Also, please give this video a like and share it on social media. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. As always, thanks for watching.